Toaster, if you could not chew your bone right now, that'd be great, bud. Toaster, you're a little bit loud. He's staring at me. Hey everyone, my name is Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, and we're just gonna have a couple weeks of Tuesday recordings because the Dallas Stars, which is our local hockey team, they are in the playoffs. And so tomorrow, which is Wednesday the 10th, where I would normally record, I'm gonna be watching them play like on TV at an event because they'll be in Nashville. But then the following Wednesday, I'm gonna be watching them play in person. So we're a little off kilter here, but that's okay because this week is already crazy. But let me tell you about the weather first because that adds to it. So you may see that I am in like a tank top, and that's because it is so hot. I'm also wearing shorts, which you can't see, and that's a good thing. It is 90 today, maybe even a little bit hotter, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. It's gonna go down a little bit this week, but man, it is really, really hot. You have my Carline hair because I had my hair down all day and then I needed to do outdoor Carline. So I put my hair up. I had to put on some sunscreen because if I even go outside for like 5 minutes, the tops of my ears burn, my shoulders will burn. I had on a t-shirt then, but anyway, and I'm gonna go to a Pilates class in a couple hours. So I just went ahead and changed into my workout gear. So you're getting all the realness today. This week is especially busy because it is state testing in Texas, and at the elementary school where I teach, I am one of the testing coordinators. So myself and my coworker, we work to create the testing schedule. We organize all the tests, and I mean, that's really simplifying it, but there's just a lot that goes on, and so it's a very busy day today. We still got to go home on time, which was awesome. Tomorrow we might not, but that's okay. So yeah, it's a very busy week, and on top of all that, I have, as a teacher, because that's my full-time job as an interventionist, I have my end-of-year observation. That's right, end of year, because the end of school is just over a month away. So it's a busy week. I'm excited to get to the end of it, but hi Toaster, it really, so far Monday and Tuesday have been good. So also, I think I have figured out how to make it quiet enough in here, like as far as air conditioning goes. So what I learned is I don't just have to turn off the air on this floor. We have 3 floors in our townhome, and each one has its own unit, and so I always turned it off down here. Then I realized I need to turn it off up on the 2nd floor, but then I realized that the air conditioning unit is right behind where you are outside, and so it doesn't matter if any of the floor's air is on, it's going to be loud. So I've turned off all of them. I will not forget to turn them back on. It is so hot. But anyway, I have been having a wonderful time because this past weekend I went to DFW Fiber Fest, and I'm going to talk about that more at the end of the episode, and I'm going to talk about getting to meet people. I'm going to show what I purchased and talk about my classes. So I have a finished object, and these are what I'm coining my Disney Princess socks. So this is a self-striping yarn by Malia Made It. And these socks are to represent the Disney princesses. Now I did talk to Malia about the colors, and she said each individual stripe doesn't necessarily specify a princess, but she just took a picture of all the princesses standing together at Disney World, and she created this color. It's actually called Disney Princess Parade. So here's what it looks like in her wonderful gobstopper balls. And then this is the mini, which is called Cinderella. So yeah, I am so pleased with how these turned out. And these are my favorite sock blockers. This way. And they're from Perfectly Catchy Designs, which is perfect with 2 R's, like purr, like a cat purrs. And I was able to get some more of these at Fiber Fest. They just didn't have the correct size at the show, so I ordered them and they should be delivered, and you are going to love them. So I'm just gonna leave it a secret for now, but hopefully maybe in a few weeks, I'll have a new pair of sock blockers. Maybe I'll have another pair of finished socks, and I will show you those then, but stay tuned because you're going to love them. Okay, I have 2 whips. I'm kind of in a weird phase right now where I'm kind of like, I think because work is a little bit overwhelming, like it's taking up a lot of mental space, then I am just like finishing things but not ready to start anything yet. So I'm hoping once this week is over, I'll have like a fresh wave of creativity. I don't have any designs like in the works right now, like the ideas are on paper, but the designs are not going. And I think I'm gonna talk more about that next week too, because I have some plans for even some projects that I've been recently finished. So anyway, all that to be said, I have basically 1 whip, but also a pair of socks that I brought out of sort of hibernation. So a whip and a half, if you will. So this is my woolberry wrap, which you've all seen before if you've been watching for the past few weeks. I really didn't do too much. Oh my gosh, I've done like a couple of stitches. So let me fix that real fast, and also hopefully Toaster will stop chewing on that bone. Okay, so I just slipped those stitches over, so I gotta remember later to actually slip them back and knit them. But I only, where's my marker? There it is. There's a marker that I made. I only did a little bit, but considering it was DFW Fiber Fest this weekend, like there was not a lot of knitting getting done. I took the socks, I forgot to say these socks. I think I'd finished one, but I think the other one was maybe here. And I worked on it during my classes. I took a lot of lecture classes. So the socks are really all that got knit during Fiber Fest. And then it's only Tuesday, so I haven't had a lot of knitting time. So yeah, just a little bit on my woolberry wrap. I'm in the very last section, which is to do this lace again, but with my contrast color. And then I'll come and I will work, I will work the other side. I am not tired of this at all. I cannot wait to work on it. I hope I have a little bit of time before I have my Pilates class to work on this while I'm editing this video, because it is such an enjoyable pattern. So Woolberry Wrap by Webster Street Knittery. It came out last week, so you can hop over to Ravelry and grab it now if it looks interesting to you. Now the other whip is a sock that I brought out of hibernation. And I had to do that because I had finished my other socks and I was going to I think I was going to the Stars game on Saturday night. It was their last regular season game and I needed something to knit on. So I remembered that I'd cast on specifically some Dallas Stars socks. So if you are not familiar, maybe you're not a hockey fan, the Dallas Stars colors are this green right here, and it's called Victory Green. That's what we call it. And then they're, you know, black and white, or they're, I was gonna say contrast colors, but like secondary colors, I guess. So this is a yarn that I got custom dyed for me. I put the label somewhere. Where did I put it? Is it in my lap? Yes. So this was a yarn that I had custom dyed for me by Rain, who is Rain's Obsessive Stitchery. And she just did a beautiful job. I sent her a picture of the jersey and she was able to match the color for me. So she sent me a solid, well, I mean, I ordered specifically 1 solid and then 2 of these variegated colors. So this inspiration came from Rain's color where she did for the Predators when they were in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I feel like I'm saying all the wrong words. I watch sports, I promise. But the Predators 2 years ago, yeah, made it all the way to the final for the Stanley Cup. And this colorway that was for the Predators was like flying off the shelves in Nashville. And I'm not a Predators fan, but even growing up in Nashville, I wasn't a big hockey fan until I moved to Dallas, and my husband is such a huge fan. So long story short, I needed a Stars colorway and Rain delivered. So I am not sure, when I did get this yarn a couple years ago, she said that other people Excuse me, that was a cough, by the way. She said that other people could order it if they were interested. So if you're interested, Rain has a website. It's RAIN. That's how you spell her name, like it rains. Rain's Obsessive Stitchery. And this, we named these colors together. I can't remember. One is like Victory Park and one is the Hangar, which is the shop inside the American Airlines Center where the Dallas Stars play. So basically, I'm gonna be working on these socks here. I'm making them short. I started these during the NHL draft in the summertime. And that was when I was still knitting my socks at 64 stitches. And now I'm knitting my socks at 60 stitches, which takes longer. So I'm kind of eager to get these done. This is only the first sock. So I'm stopping right here. I've done my fish lips kiss heel. I've done 40 rounds and I'm gonna put in 20 rounds of this solid green for a cuff. And then I'll start the other sock. So tomorrow when we go watch the game, I should have that cuff done for sure. And maybe I can even start the second sock and get these socks finished. I was about to say something terrible. Before they're out of the playoffs, which is hopefully quite a few more weeks. I don't know when the final game is, but it might be, it's definitely in May, maybe in June. So hopefully I have a while to knit on those socks, right? So those are my only two whips. Like I said, I have some things like in mind for designs, in mind for new projects, in mind to renovate past projects, but I'm in this mood right now of like, it's spring, even though it feels like summer. I'm ready to kind of clear some things out. My brain is crowded, and I think it's reflecting in my knitting that I want to eliminate things and simplify. So stay tuned next week. I'm gonna talk about a few ways that I'm gonna do that with some past projects. All right, one quick knitting and crochet club update, and then the rest of the episode is gonna be all about Fiber Fest. If you typically don't love listening to someone talk about an event that you haven't been to, I'm not gonna focus so much on I'm gonna talk a little bit about the event as a whole, and I'm gonna talk about just getting to meet people that you might have talked to on Instagram, and I'm gonna talk a lot about my classes and a little bit about the things I purchased. It's not a huge, or by my standards, I guess it's not a huge amount of stuff. So stay tuned. I hope you will still enjoy listening to it, even if you didn't get to my whole reasoning for talking about it is not to make you feel left out at all. I just want to share my experience, and then hopefully you have something close by. I'm almost certain that you do, in at least 2 hours, within 2 hours, that you could go to that's similar, and I want to encourage you to go because it's so much fun. So one quick thing about Knitting and Crochet Club. My first group of kids for this semester have come to their 4 weeks. They are knitters and crocheters now. We didn't get to finish, our project sort of was like a coaster. I really just wanted to get them started on something. I wanted to give them the opportunity to practice for 2 weeks and then start a project with a new ball of yarn with the intent of making something. Really, if they didn't make a coaster, I wasn't concerned. I know kids don't really care for coasters. So what was interesting is that they had been so good, so disciplined about bringing their supplies every Monday, and then like half of them forgot this last round. So I don't understand that, but anyway, we had a good time. I always have a basket full of yarn and some donated like crochet hooks and knitting needles that they can borrow, while they're in there with me. So we did that and we just hung out, and it was a good time. This was such a good group of kids. And then I also got invites out to there were 10 kids on my wait list from several weeks ago when I first put out sent home the letter to parents. And of those 10, I decided I could take 8. I still wish maybe I had just done 6 because 8's a lot, but I'm gonna take 8 kids. That way I got to get all of the 5th graders, because 5th graders won't have the opportunity to be in the club next year. So I'm gonna have 8. This time it's all girls, and they will start on Monday and they'll meet for 4 weeks. So that'll be really fun. I'll have a new round of kids coming up next week. Okay, so Fiber Fest. So DFW Fiber Fest is this was its 14th year. I only know that because they were talking about next year being the 15th anniversary. It is a spectacular event. I've been going this is either my 3rd or my 4th year going. I think it's probably my 4th because I moved to Dallas 5 years ago. I think so. So my friend Maggie on Instagram asked me a really good question. She said, how do you even find out about events? And I found out about Fiber Fest because I was here in town when it was happening and I missed it. That's usually how I find out about like knitting things, is like you hear about them happening because they're happening at that moment and you miss it that year. And then the next year you can go. That's kind of how I find out about things. Also just hanging around your local yarn shop. They might even be involved in the event, or they might have a discount going at the store because they want to attract out of town people who are going to the event to come and visit the store. So hanging out around your local yarn shop is a really good way to find out about events. Also, if you travel at all and yarn stores or any small business will say like, can we add you to our email list? And you're like, go ahead and sign up for that email list. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. But sometimes I find out, like the Hill Country Weavers event, I actually found out because when I traveled and went to the shop in Austin, I started getting their newsletters, and then I found out about the retreat. So yeah, just those are a couple tips just to like see what's happening in your area. Of course, you can also Google and just like ask people. But DFW Fiber Fest is a few different things. One, it's a retreat. People do come from out of town to attend this event. There are a lot of local people there. It's very easy to just go for a few hours and shop in the vendor hall. But the way that I participated, or that I have participated for the past few years, is I sign up for classes. The classes last year and this year, I think, have been the best they've ever been. I mean, as an event gets bigger and gains more traction, they can get more well-known teachers. It just, as more people attend, then they can do more, right? So this event is, it's going on 15 years. It's really gotten big. And so the list of teachers that I took from this year were all just absolutely incredible. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But one part of it is just like, it's a retreat. You can come, you can hang out with other knitters, stay at the hotel next to the convention center. The other part of it is that there are classes going on, and I chose to participate in that way just as a local person. You don't have to stay in the hotel. There was also a speaker on Friday night. Every year there's a speaker. I choose to go to that as well. You don't have to be attending like the whole retreat like some events are. And then the third, I don't know what number I'm on now, aspect is the vendor hall. And the vendor hall is amazing. It's in a convention center in Irving, Texas, which is in between Dallas and Fort Worth. And it's just amazing. There's vendors, there's a lot of local vendors. Suburban Stitcher comes up from Houston, the Houston area. Mustache Yarns comes up, I want to say she's in the San Antonio area, but that could be wrong. I know she lives in Texas. Teeny Button comes from Louisiana. Erin Lane Bags comes from Nashville, Tennessee. So I know that's not like super close, but since that's where I'm from and I know Lindsay personally, I get excited every year to see her. But yeah, there's just tons of vendors, and the vendor hall is open, not just to the attendees of the event, but also to the public. It costs $5 to go. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, so I chose to participate in the classes and the speaker, and also, of course, a little bit of shopping. In the vendor hall too, something I think pretty unique that Fiber Fest does is they have a huge area in the middle with all these round tables, chairs, for people just to sit and knit. So sometimes if you have like a class in the morning and then you're shopping in the afternoon, it's kind of tiring. It's kind of exhausting. So you can sit and knit, you can hang out with people. It's just fun to be in that buzz and that atmosphere. And then they also have something I think actually definitely is unique to Fiber Fest, is called the Fibertory. And it's like laboratory fiber, Fibertory. And that is a place where they host a few, like, I think they have a few like drop-in classes. They've got sometimes like a speaker. And this year they had an exhibit with silkworms, which I did not go near because it looked really nasty, but I know that everyone said it was super cool. They have some like yarns to try out, needles to try out. Just, it's a very cool creative place. What was so fun this year is I had been engaging more on Instagram with people. You know, I've been doing the podcast since January. So I had more people that I knew this year, which was a lot of fun. I got to meet my friend Alana, who's Poppy and Bug on Instagram, in person for the first time, which was so cool. It's always surreal meeting somebody that you've talked to in person, because you have, without knowing it, you've developed this image in your head. Or I mean, I knew what Alana looked like because I watch her videos too, but you think something and then you meet them, and it's always amazing when they like are just as warm and fun and exciting as you thought they were going to be. And then I got to meet my friend Kristen, who is a newer friend. She is Good Knit Kisses. She has great tutorials. You got to go check them out. But it was really cool to connect with people that way. I also got to meet, this was the craziest thing. I still cannot believe this. I had people stop me and say, "You're Natalie, you're Knitty Natty. I watch your podcast." And I was blown away. Of course, I was kind of thinking maybe I would meet like a couple people because I knew that they were Texans, but it was really, really cool. So I got to meet, I got to meet Jana and Kim and Pam and Nancy and Ellen and Julie. Let me see. I tried to write down as I met. Did I say Angie? Yeah, so I got to meet like several people. It was so fun to meet you all. And I was exchanging stitch markers. So I got to exchange stitch markers with them. I got to meet Kate from One of a Kate, which was so cool. Anyway, I probably have forgotten somebody. So if I did forget, just know that it was so exciting to meet you too. I just can't remember everybody that I met. It was a whirlwind for sure. So I think I'm going to talk about my purchases and then go back to my classes, because the classes really take like some thinking about. But I had no plans for my purchases. Hold on, let me get a drink. Ugh. Okay, let me rewind. I had no written, structured plans for my purchases. I knew there was a couple things that I had my eye on. I wanted to go to Erin Lane Bags to get their sheeple bags, which are my favorite. And I got some, and I'll show them in a second. And I also wanted to get some more of these wooden sock blockers, which I was able to order but could not purchase in person. I mean, I could have. They had a ton of options, but the design that I wanted, they'd already sold out of. This is a medium size for my foot, which is about an 8, woman's 8. So those were the only two things that I really knew I wanted. Oh, and mustache yarn, because she's got this beautiful self-striping yarn. So here's what I ended up with. So as far as yarn goes, I got 4 skeins of yarn, which depending on, I mean, some people might say that's a lot, and some people might say that's it. For me, it's kind of like average. I mean, usually I talk to my husband and we like plan and kind of budget and say I save my money, but this time I don't know, I just didn't know what I was going to be into, so I feel like I was pretty tame. Buddy. Toaster's like scratching himself. Okay, so I definitely got some mustache. So here's mustache yarns. This color is called Jelly Belly. you can't tell from the skein. Maybe I'll start knitting these soon, but these are the coolest self-striping rainbowish kind of socks. They've got these really wide like pastel sections and then little skinny bright sections, and they look amazing. I got interrupted by my alarm for TL Yarn Crafts for Tony's live, so oops. But this is 2 identical skeins of yarn. Tony, I'll be there soon. And I'll take them apart and it'll be 2 50-gram skeins, and I'll wind them up making sure they're in the same direction, and it'll be really easy to make 2 identical self-striping socks. This is from Suburban Stitcher, whom you all know I love. And this was her show colorway. It's called Irving, which is where the show took place. On Instagram, I thought this was gray. In person, it's really like a lavender color. In this room, I guess because there's a lot of yellow, it almost looks blue. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just this really fun, like speckly, so much color on, I would say, like a lavender base. Maybe it tends more towards gray or blue, just depending on the light, but really pretty. Snagged a skein while I could because I knew it was going to sell out, and I love it. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then the other thing I got, I think this is Gritty Knits. Gritty Knits. But this is also, I believe they're in Texas. I'm not sure where, but I saw a little bit of this base in a couple booths. I saw it in Teeny Button too, but this is a 50% superwash merino, 50% cotton. Yeah. And this colorway is called Josephine. I got 2 so that I can make like a t-shirt or a tank top, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I really liked that a lot. Okay, I had to go to one of my favorite pottery, I guess you would call it pottery. They have mugs and they have yarn bowls and other things, but I have a Hufflepuff mug from the same person, which is Polly Studio, and I decided I would get one for crochet as well. I always want to use my Hufflepuff mug because it's just the right size. It's so cute. It has a flat bottom, which I really like because now I have one of those mug warmers, and a lot of my mugs have like a rim around them so they don't touch the bottom and they don't heat up, but this one does. And it's just a really good size, dishwasher safe, microwave. I love it. I've had my other one for 2 years and it looks the same as it did the day that I bought it. So I got this crochet one, but then right next door was the Erin Lane Bags booth. And I don't know his name, but the guy that makes these mugs from Polly Studios, you can see that. He had made a mug for Lindsay at Erin Lane Bags. So this is the mascot Larry, and he is always in a grumpy mood, and he's just saying nope. And Lindsay was telling me about his little outfit. It's his unicorn outfit that is too small and his tail is taped on. So he is just so sad. And this one was so fun because I had pink. There's like pink speckles all in there. So I decided, like, if I like this mug enough, I'm gonna get another, like this kind of style. And I love this one. I'm getting another one. And then I ended up donating to Goodwill 2 mugs that were just like plain, like Target mugs that are not that special to me. I'm the only one who uses mugs. Actually, that's not true. My husband uses mugs for tea sometimes, but he always uses the plain black ones that match his like bachelor set of plates and stuff. And I like to use fun ones. So I'm really the only one who uses the ones that I got rid of. So I decided it was okay. And I got a couple bags too. So the one that I really wanted has the same little Larry on there. This is the large size bag. It fits a ton. It's not looking that large. Maybe compare, you know, it's hard to compare. But yeah, this is a great drawstring bag. Oops. Drawstrings up nicely. And it fits like a large, like shawl, most of a sweater, I'd say, probably not with all of your yarn in it. But it's a really good size project bag that you can just squish down. And then I also got, this is like, I don't know if this is Larry or if the girl has another name, but sassy little sheep with a coffee mug, and it says, I can't even. This is the sock bag. This is my absolute favorite. It's got the square bottom, and it's just the perfect size. You can fit a whole, like 2 socks in here along with your balls of yarn if it's 1 ball or 2 if you split it. Drawstrings up nice, and then it has this. And this is what I will attach to my belt loop. This way. I'll attach it to my belt loop. It just snaps, and I will walk around and knit with that, which is great. And then, just a few more things. Also in Erin Lane, these are gonna crinkle a little bit, so let me set them down first. But she has these new like yarn sleeves, which have her same sheepwool fabric, I think in just like a stretchy material, and they're to go around your skeins of yarn. So let me just show you quickly. It's gonna be a little wrinkly. Harry Potter. I can't even. Nope. And I have this bag. It says balls. And looking at that, it looks like maybe she has Slip Stitch Studios make these, maybe. But these are her fabrics from Erin Lane bag. So they were in that booth, but they were so much fun. So those are my purchases. I feel like I was pretty tame, but I don't know. So the last thing I want to go over is my classes. So let me just recap real quick. I had 4 classes. Let me unfold this, hold on. Okay, I had 4 classes. So starting on Thursday afternoon, I went to work for half a day. And then Thursday afternoon, I had a class with Denise Bell. And it was called Stress-Free Steeking. So I'm not gonna recap, I'm going straight into it. So let me show you my steeking. So during the class, we worked on a colorwork swatch, and then we cut it, which is what steeking is. We learned a crocheted reinforced seam. That was weird, sorry. We did a crocheted reinforced seam, but here's what I ended up with is 2 swatches. I thought the colorwork was kind of pretty. I'll just show you that. Isn't that fun? And my friend Rebecca that I was in the class with, she even put a color in the center of that, a different color, and I'm really mad that I didn't do that. And the whole time I was like, I wish I had done that. We had fun in class together. Oh, that pink, I would have put that pink in there. Wouldn't that have been cute? So steeking was something that I knew I could probably do on my own. I understood the concept, but like I wasn't doing it. So sometimes you can take classes for things that you know you can probably figure out on your own, but you're just not taking the time to do it. And you just need someone to have you sit down and work the swatch and do what you need to do, and then you're confident and you can do it. So that's how I felt the steeking class was. Plus I learned so many like tips and tricks from Denise Bell because she's just such an amazing knitter. So we made our swatch. It looked like this, like it was connected. Actually, it was in the round, so it looked like, I guess it looked like this. It was all connected. And then we did our crocheted reinforced like seam. So that's what the pink is. I did it in a contrast color. Now in a sweater, it would kind of just like curl back like this. You would pick up and do a band and you wouldn't even see it from the right side. So we cut that one. And then she said, just for fun, I want you to just cut the fabric. So that's what it looks like. I just cut it. It's crazy. And this is a very sticky wool. This is Knit Picks palette, so it's all staying together very nicely. But now I feel pretty confident. I wouldn't say stress-free steeking, but I feel pretty good that I could do it again. So we'll see one day if I come across a sweater pattern, I'm ready to do it. So now we're on to Friday. Friday I had 2 classes. My morning class was with Carson Demers, who wrote Knitting Comfortably. And I always feel like I'm saying his last name wrong. I think like, I can't say that. I was gonna say as a teacher, he was just my favorite, but like, I also took class that day from Stephanie Pearl McPhee. And then the next day I took class from Amy Herzog. Yeah, I mean, everyone was just so great. If you've been knitting for a while, you might recognize some of those names. They're very well-known knitters and teachers and bloggers and designers. So anyway, back to class with Carson, because I can't say his last name, so I'm just gonna say Carson. The class was so good. We learned so much like scientific and anatomical, things about our bodies and like how they need to be positioned. He taught us how to use like a towel to kind of adjust how you're sitting, which how I'm sitting now is not how you're supposed to be sitting. I'm sitting on a soft thing and my back is curved. So I probably need to sit on something firmer so I can sit up straight and I can be aligned. But it was a really good class. I definitely learned a lot from that, and it's all in his book. So I need to go back through his book and the worksheets that he gave us. And I think I will learn even more. So if you can take any classes with Carson, I definitely would. The one that I took was called Knitting Happily Ever After. Now on Friday afternoon, I took a class from Stephanie Pearl McPhee, and this is called Knit Smart. And what she said at the beginning was, there's so many like things that experienced knitters know that they just assume that new knitters know, and they don't remember learning them. It's just something that you like pick up by experience. And often those are things that we don't get to talk about in classes because classes are designed to go after like a specific project or maybe a specific task like steeking. But we don't talk about all those intricate details in between. So her class Knit Smart was amazing. She's just so funny. It was completely a lecture class. There was no knitting involved, except that I knit like half a sock during it, which was great. I actually stood at the back of the class after about an hour of sitting, and I guess Carson was in my head like, standing while knitting is so good for you. So I stood at the back of the class for 2 hours and just listened, and it was amazing. So she took us through like, when you walk into a yarn store and pick up that skein of yarn to you finish the sweater, what now? I mean, she just walked through so many things, a lot of things I knew but didn't understand why, and a lot of like new information. It was so great. I think any class with Stephanie Pearl McPhee is worth it. She's the yarn harlot. Then the last class I took, I registered for with the intent of one day, hopefully this year, I want to start designing sweaters. So this class was with Amy Herzog, and it was called Mastering Mindful Modifications pertaining to sweaters. So I'm gonna look at my notes here because this is something that I'm never gonna get rid of. Like, I'm always gonna have this. But she essentially took us from, you have a sweater pattern. How do you pick your size? But she didn't call it a size. She said your base size, because unless you are the designer that designed it, a sweater is not gonna fit you any better than it would if you went to the store and bought a sweater. So she just said, like, pick your size. This is how you do it. This is your base size. And then she talked about how to modify it. So she went through so many examples. It was incredible. It was a lot of math, a lot of thinking, but it was really good. So for me, I kind of raised my hand at the beginning of class. She asked if there was any specific kind of modifications we were looking for. And I said, for me, I can choose a bust size, but it's never gonna fit my hips. If I choose a straight sweater, like that's not A-line, and I pick, I think my bust measures like 34. Let's say that sweater has a little bit of ease, like 36, has 2 inches of positive ease. It's gonna fit me in the bust. It's gonna fit me in the ribs. It's gonna fit me in the waist. Well, it's gonna be a little tight, to be honest. But when it gets to my hips, it's not gonna fit. It's gonna either ride up, or it's just gonna be so uncomfortable with so much negative ease that I'm not gonna wanna wear it. So we talked about how to go from one size at like the waist and do an A-line shaping for bodies like me, which was so, so great. And when she did it, it made it seem so simple. So that's why I'm hanging on to these notes so I can refer to them. But mastering mindful modifications, it was just incredible. So I don't know, I feel like I need to do like a summary. DFW Fiber Fest, just amazing. I mean, again, like, and I didn't even touch on that I had a pattern in Suburban Stitcher's booth, which was really cool. So I'll talk about that for a second. But I got to see all these people that I had, met virtually in person. I got to hang out with my knitting friends I see every week in a different environment. We got to learn things. We got to meet the grocery girls. They were there. Hi, Jody and Tracy. You're not watching, but hi. Again, I got to have a pattern in Diane's booth, and it was cool. I walked that vendor hall a lot while I was shopping, and sometimes when I would walk by her booth, I would see somebody like looking at my sample, and it made me feel really good. I think Diane said that a lot of people would go up to the wrap. So this is my Springtime in Suburbia wrap, which is a crocheted pattern, but it's very drapey, looks really, like from far away, you're gonna say, oh, is that crochet? And that's what a lot of people were saying. They go, oh, it's crochet? Like, I don't crochet, or I'd love to crochet, but I don't, or really? And so my kind of intent with that pattern was like to attract knitters and say, hey, you can crochet. Crochet is beautiful. Like, you can achieve some of the same things that you can with knitting and crochet. But anyway, the whole experience was so surreal. I'm living on that after yarn glow, like Cosmic Crochet Creations will say. But yeah, hi Nikki C, I love that. After yarn glow, I definitely had that, and it's carrying through this week. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. Next week, I'll have a few more things to show you I'm really excited about. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.